I'm Kate Buckhart. I'm here at the Lake Forest Library with Judy Levin. Judy conducts our afternoons with Judy book discussions that we have here once a month, and she brings her 35 years of teaching and her English major degrees to the public, and she shares her passion for books in an open exchange of discussion in a wonderful setting here at the library. So I wanted to ask Judy a few questions so we can get to know her and learn a little bit more about what we do here at the library. So what prompted you to start these book discussion groups?
That's probably the first question everybody always asks me. It started a long time ago. In the late 70s, I was in a book club myself with a group of friends through an organization, and occasionally we hired people who came in and led the discussions, and then we said, oh, we could do this ourselves. And guess what? It kept being my turn. Everybody said you do such a great job at it. I loved it. With my English major and teaching degree, it was just a passion, and I loved the fact that we could have adults get away from our babies. We were all moms. Everybody had little children. It was like, we have a night out. We're going to talk about the book. And I was always the one who was pulling the book discussion back, like, let's not talk about the brownie recipe. Let's not talk about toilet training. Let's get back to the book. And little by little, other people heard I was doing this, and it's all been word of mouth, and it's been the most wonderful developing career since the late 70s.
I think what's so nice about the discussions here are that we have all different ages. We have men and women who come. We have people who use this to meet up with their friends, and then people maybe who have just moved to the community who wanted to get to try something new. How do you go about picking the books?
Oh, picking the books. Well, that's another question everybody always asks me. It's wonderful, but it is. There's so much out there. And if I follow all the publisher websites and the newspapers and the magazines that review books, and it's overwhelming how many books come out every single week, so it's difficult. I, of course, look at things like the New York Times Book Review and the New Yorker and some of the big book-selling lists. I also follow all the publishers' lists, at least all the major publishers that I can, and there's not as many as there used to be. I also love following the little independent bookstores and seeing what they're promoting. There's so many places to get ideas for books, and awards lists, of course, although I don't always go for the one who wins the Pulitzer Prize or the one who wins the Man Booker. Sometimes I look at the finalists, and one of the others of the finalist lists are sometimes the more interesting one or the smaller prizes that are given out. One thing I do look for, and somebody just asked me this at the end of our last discussion a few minutes ago, is about the books that are coming up. I said I like to try to go around. I like to try to go around the world. We did a book today that was set in Ireland. Next month we're doing one that's set in Idaho mostly. Then we have another book that's set in Oakland about the Native American community. I love to find different writing styles and then travel around the world and hear different voices, different people's stories.
So have there been some books that stand out that were particularly wonderful for discussion, or any that you thought would be and were surprised that they weren't?
Yeah, it's always interesting. The first time I do a book discussion is always very interesting to me out here. I've read the book, I've decided I want to bring it to my groups. I think people will have feelings about it, whether they love it or don't love it. I want people to have some kind of reaction to the book. So I walk into that first book discussion and I never know what I'm going to get. Am I going to get a room full of people that go, this was great, we loved it? Am I going to get like, why'd you pick this book? Where'd you find this one? Or will I get a mix? And actually, the best is usually if I get a mix of opinions in the room, although I really want everybody to enjoy what they're reading. The best to me is if people say, even if they didn't like the book, if they didn't enjoy it, they finished it anyways, and they were interested to get to the discussion because they wanted to hear not only what I had to say about it, but what the other people in the group had to say. And to me, that's the best thing that builds that way. So yes, there's been books over the time that I'm like surprised, but then maybe I go to another group and they loved it. And then I go to another one and they loved it, and I go, wasn't that interesting? That group didn't, but these others did. So I'm never quite sure what's going to happen. I did think about one book in particular that still comes up in my discussions all the time that people across the board loved. And I found it fascinating because it was a nonfiction book. And most people, if you ask them in a book discussion group like this, what kinds of books do you want to read? They will mostly say contemporary fiction. Very rarely will anybody say, oh, I want to read nonfiction. But the book was The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. And I don't think I have found anyone who didn't say they were so glad to have read that book. They learned so much, not just about the science, but about sociology, about history, about culture, about the African American community, about the medical community, about testing, and so much. It was just a wonderful, wonderful story. So that I think will stick out in my memory for a very, very long time.
So do you have any tips for people who at home do their own book clubs? How do you go about researching either the author or to come up with questions?
Okay. There's so much online now. When I started doing this in the late 70s and early 80s, I would have to go to a library, usually my local library, but I'm sure this library had the resources as well, and I would sit with the old books that listed all the magazines and what was all the articles in the magazines, and sit with microfiche and microfilm or the hard copies and make copies of things. And it was an enormous project to find the research on an author. Now you sit down, you type in the author's name, the title of the book, you have a lot to weed through, but you can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want, which is an advantage. Or you could do it with your cup of coffee or whatever. You don't have to do it in the library hours. So there's so much online and easy to research. Also, I will say I'm very proud of the fact that I was doing this professionally before Oprah hit the scene with her famous book clubs, but she really did a service because the fact that she was able to sell so many books when she picked one, the publishing houses started realizing there was a hunger for book discussion materials. So they started putting on their websites, and then there's several others as well. There's reading group guides, there's Lit Lovers, and a few others like that that publish little biographies of the author. They publish little excerpts of reviews, and then they publish discussion questions. And most of the time, by the time a book comes out in the paperback version, all of that's at the end of the book. So it's pretty easy now for people, if they don't want to do a lot of their own development of resources and things, to get it right there. The key, I think, is being able to elicit the conversation, not just to ask the question, but to get the conversation going.
So, anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. What could I say to book clubs out there that they might be interested in? Take a chance on a book. I would tell them to look at new authors a lot. It's always fun to read an author's first book. If they've gotten good reviews, they don't have to be a famous award-winning author. Take a chance on it. Read something different that's outside your box. Nonfiction, memoir is always interesting. Pick a classic. The PBS series last year that they did with the 100 Greatest American Reads, and they asked people what their favorite books were. I think that's a great resource list if people are looking for something different. What might, let's do a science fiction book. Let's do a mystery. Let's step out of our box. For me, in my groups, I'd say the most popular genre is historical fiction. Everybody seems to love that. I do too, but step outside of that once in a while and go to something different. Books in translation, go to another country. Say, what's an interesting book written by a Japanese author, by an Australian author?
Right, you can have a whole theme for your year. I think that's what's so great about coming to your book discussions is that if you want to participate, you can. But if you want to sit back and listen and learn something, you don't have to feel intimidated. If you haven't finished the book, you can still enjoy the discussion.
Absolutely.
So I think people should take a chance and come.
That's right, absolutely. And the whole thing, people are always afraid if somebody sitting in the room hasn't finished it, they're afraid, well, we shouldn't talk about the ending. I goes, no, you gotta do it. Just don't hold back. You know, if people didn't finish it or didn't read it, of course they're still welcome to come, but a full and open discussion, and to allow everyone to say what they want. To me, that's what I have found over the years with book groups and people like here at the library. There's always new people coming, but there's a group, about 7 or 8, who are pretty much here every single month. They're not like a clique or a group of friends necessarily, but they've become friends in the book discussion group. And I think everybody has respect for what the other one says, whether they agree or disagree. It has to be that open forum where you feel free and comfortable to express your opinions about the actual book, about a theme in the book, or whatever it is, to feel that safety and that you're going to be still respected for whatever you say, I think is really, really important.
All right, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me to do this. I hope people are interested, and please come to the book club. Come to the discussions.